Vinaka. Kia ora nā tātou katoa. My name is Esther Heather. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'd like to thank all the organisers of this Congress. It's a great opportunity to get us all together and meet one another and network, and yeah, we're super blessed to be here. Sorry, my presentation's in a little bit of a slightly different format to everyone else's. I'll see if I can get it in a full screen mode. If I can't, then... Oh, no, awesome, great. So, beekeeping in the Cook Islands. I thought I'd start by introducing you to the Cook Islands. We are a tiny nation. We have 15 islands, 12 of which are populated. Our population is 15,000, and our main industry is tourism. We have a couple of secondary industries, pearls, fisheries, agriculture, which did have a bit of a boom in the 60s and 70s, and we are entering into deep sea mining. So this is my little farm that I run with my family, my son and my husband. We raise pigs and we raise bees, so and a couple of goats. So bit of a brief history about beekeeping in the Cook Islands. Black European bees introduced a lot like everyone else here in the 1800s. Catholic priests were looking after bees in our outer islands, our paenua, in the 1900s. There was a rise in local Cook Islanders using modern methods in beekeeping 60s, 70s and 80s. And in the 70s and 80s, like a lot of you mentioned in your presentations, there were Italian queens introduced. This was by a small local hobbyist group of beekeepers. It wasn't exactly for a commercial purpose. It was just to, it was just a team of papas looking after bees. After Cyclone Sally, in 1987, we did see a decline in beekeeping, and a lot of these older generation beekeepers did start to pass on, and there was a decline. Over the past 15 years, there's been a small resurgence in beekeeping. It was driven by Dr. Matt Puria. He was the Minister of Agriculture for 8 years, 2011 to 19, and there's been a noticeable increase in interest over the last 5 years in beekeeping. So today we have approximately 25 beekeepers. We're peanuts in comparison to a lot of you other Pacific Island nations, averaging out about 6 hives per beekeeper. There's a couple of us who have a few more, I say commercial operations, but it's not really commercial as of yet. There's about 4 of us that have about 30 hives or more. Our main outlets for honey, roadside stalls. You drive around the island, there's a couple of markets on the side of the road, and you see honey pop up, and it goes pretty fast if it does show up there. Private sales to cafes and restaurants. That's how I sell my honey. Supermarkets. There's only one supplier in supermarkets at the moment, and it's hardly ever present. All of our honey in the Cook Islands pretty much is imported from the States or from New Zealand, and I think Australia. So trade days are another way that we sell our honey. So local honey is sold at approximately $30 per kg, in New Zealand at 38 New Zealand dollars per kg, and it's a bit higher pure and simply because of Manuka. We have one supplier of beekeeping supplies on the island of Rarotonga, where we're pretty much located, and they're pretty much always out of stock. So we have a bit of an issue with getting access to equipment for beekeeping. Some key achievements over the last few years in particular. We established a Cook Islands Beekeeping Support Group. It's a Facebook group where we just chat about beekeeping, about different methods, where we can ask each other for help, quite often seeking some of that equipment that we can't find in the stores. Anyone got any frames? We've got to do an extraction. Can you help me out, please? So that's the Beekeeping Support Group. Over the last, I'd say since, I think it was 2021 was the first beekeeping course that was run through the Ministry of Agriculture and a group called Te Tango Whenua. They managed to secure some funding to bring some hives in and start teaching beekeeping. And we've seen a bit more of them over the past few years. So Ministry of Agriculture, our Tertiary Training Institute have run a few beekeeping courses, box building and beekeeping basics. And there has just this year been a queen rearing one introduced, but I was the only person that put my hand up to be interested for it, so they cancelled it. Ministry of Agriculture, in partnership with beekeeper David Cramp, launched a book, Beekeeping in the Cook Islands, in 2022. He came and spent some time with us. He spent some time with myself and Alistair Macquarie, who's also here, and Omar from the Ministry of Agriculture, who's also here, to write this book, have a look through our apiaries and see what's going on, and try and tailor a guide to the Cook Islands. There's endless opportunities for us in the Cook Islands. We're pretty basic at the moment, and it's been, I don't know if you'd say intimidating seeing the opportunity that's available. It's inspirational for sure. So, I mean, New Caledonia, wow, that's crazy. You guys have got so much going on there. So, like I said, at the moment, everything is imported pretty much. So we'd like to see an end to that and be able to supply our local market with honey. Value-added products, not one value-added product from our bees or our honey or our wax is showing up on shelves at the moment. The local production of beekeeping materials and supplies, I think that's a key one for us. It's incredibly expensive importing beekeeping equipment, and we have timber, we have a pine project by the ministry that, I don't know, maybe failed. And there's pine growing on some of our islands that we can use. And we can get some people around to train us. And hopefully one day we can export. One thing I'm dabbling in is brewing mead. So I've been kind of using all of my my honey that I've been getting and trialing different recipes in honey mead, and I think we've nailed it now. So if you come to the Cook Islands, you might be able to buy that next time. So the three of us who are here from the Cook Islands at the moment, Omar, Alistair and myself, we went back and we were here last year to do a training, a FAO funded training, which was awesome, and we got super inspired, and we've got a little Rarotonga Beekeeping Club, and we'd like to use that as an avenue to help other beekeepers on the island learn and collaborate. So Alistair's run his first course in conjunction with Ministry of Agriculture in basics of beekeeping, so that's pretty cool. So our main constraints, like I said at the beginning of the presentation, our island, our main island, is tiny. It takes less than an hour to drive around it, 32 kilometres around. I think it's 67 square kilometres, so it's very, very small. The island obviously can't, the capacity for keeping heaps of hives there is just not there. So we would need to expand into our outer islands, but that comes with a whole raft of other issues, because travelling to our outer islands is super expensive. There's little to no expertise in our outer islands in beekeeping, and the cost of moving equipment and product is just going to be a challenge as well. Disease and pest control, we've found that the licensing of bulk import of honey is really easy to get. So that's a bit scary, because at the moment, well, to my knowledge, we haven't had AFB. It has been reported, I've found, in the 90s, early 90s, and then I've actually just talked to one of the old beekeepers, one of the only ones, and he said that it was also detected in 2010, but I don't think that's ever been reported, so might want to look into that. We don't have any varroa mites, so we'd have to look into some better measures into monitoring our borders. And at the moment, there's not too many of us, or too many Cook Islanders, that I don't think it's a very big concern to anyone. So I'd like to see some policies and protocols put in place to safeguard the cooks. False advertising. I don't know if anyone else has a problem with false advertising of honey. We've found that people have been advertising things as local products when it's actually imported from New Zealand. That's been pretty bad, and it's not a fair field for everyone. So we need to put some standards in place for that. Expertise. There is limited expertise. Yes, there were some great beekeepers back in the day, but a lot of that knowledge hasn't been shared. I think there is a culture of not sharing information about beekeeping in the Cook Islands, and I think it comes with the territory of it being a new industry, and everyone wants to hold their cards close to their chest. So that's something that we've found, and we are making progress in that. More courses being run with our bee club and our support group online. People seem to be trying to branch out and help each other, so that's positive there. Like I said, access to beekeeping equipment, only one supplier, always out of stock, no local manufacturer. We need to figure out some methods of and learn how to build some of our own equipment. Main stakeholders, we've got the beekeepers. We've got Keith up in the top left-hand corner. He comes from, I said those papas back in the day. He is one of their sons, and he has taken on any of the hives from their family. We've got Alistair, we've got Caveman here, myself, Omar, just a couple of us. And the support. So we've got a little bit of financial support through small business loans. That's not just accessible for beekeepers, it's anyone in the cooks. And we've got the training and mentoring support as well. It is quite limited for beekeeping because we are so fresh and new. After COVID, they did want to put a focus on the agricultural sector, and they did open up some grant funding for agri-tech, and we were lucky enough to secure a little bit of that for our little farm. There have been a few little projects to get some equipment on island, but that really is about it. So yeah, in conclusion, pretty fresh and new. We need some help. That's why it's awesome to be here, meeting so many of you guys. There's a wealth of knowledge out there, and we need to tap into in the Cook Islands. It's an industry that we see heaps of potential in, and yeah, we'll do our best.